Gary with MacMost here. Let me show you how to create simple graphics on your Mac without a third-party app. So let's say you want to create a relatively simple graphic, an image that you could post on social media or send to people over email. You could, of course, use third-party apps to do this. You can use Photoshop, you can use Pixelmator Pro, provided you have those apps and you know how to use them. But let's just use tools that come with your Mac to do this. So each of these has advantages and disadvantages. I'm going to show you how to just create a canvas to put an image on. I'm going to show you how to add text, some graphics, bring in some images, bring in a photo, and even draw. So let's start here by using Pages. So Pages, of course, is a word processor. It's not ideal for this, but it does have a good page layout mode that you could use to create graphics. So in Pages here, I'm going to create a simple blank layout document. Now when you do that, you'll notice that it's kind of page shaped. Let's say we want to create a horizontal graphic about 800 by 600. You can do that by changing the page size here. You need to go to File and then Page Setup to do this. And then go to Paper Size and then do Manage Custom Sizes. So let's go and create a new one here and then let's make it 8 by 6. The idea is we want something generally to be at an 8 by 6 or 4 by 3 ratio here. And we'll select OK. And you can see it set the paper size to this. So when I click OK, you can see the paper now changes size. And now I've got a nice blank canvas. So first, let's go and create a background to draw on. You can do that in Pages if you've got nothing else selected. So you can click on the background and select nothing else. Under Format, you've got Background here. So let's set it to, say, a gradient fill, and we could set the two colors. Let's have it go from pure white to, say, a very light blue like that. So now we've got a background. Now let's add some text. I'll click on the text tool up here. It'll add a text box. Let's type the words Happy Birthday. And then I'm going to select it by using Command A to select all. Let's go to Format Text, center it. Let's pick a more festive font. So just, anything you happen to have. Let's increase the size and you can also change the color. And now we've got that there. Let's go and add a basic graphic. You've got all these shapes here that are available on Pages. Click there to select one. These are things like squares, circles, and all of that. But you'll notice that the further down you go, the more detailed the shapes get. Let's search for birthday and find out what we've got. And we see here we've got some things. Let's take the birthday cake, put it here, and we could put it near the top. We can go to Format Style and change its color. So let's change the fill to something else, a color like that, or maybe something like that. And you can do more with shapes, of course, but let's just leave it at that for now. By the way, if you find these videos valuable, consider supporting MacMost at Patreon. Get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. Read about it right here. Now that you have that, let's say there's more than just these basic shapes that you want to add in. Let's say you've got some graphics, like you've got these two graphics here. You can add these by dragging them in. So let's drag the balloons one in, and you can see it just adds it in. We can grab one of the little handles here and shrink it down. We can even hold the Command key down and grab, and then drag one of the handles to rotate. To get rid of the background there, we can go to Format, Image, and Remove Background. And we can do that. And we can do it with the presents here as well. Let's shrink those. Let's rotate them a bit. Let's put them here and remove background on those as well. And there we go. Let's say we want to add a photo. Now a photo could be another file like one of these. But let's say we want to go right from the Photos app. Well, you can do that. You can drag and drop right from the Photos app. I have the Photos app in one window, Pages in another. Drag and drop from one to the other. And it will insert it in. So now I can resize this. If I want to crop it, I can double click it and notice how I can grab the edges now and it will crop like that. If I want to remove the background, I can try that as well. Under Format, Image, Remove Background will work on photos as long as it's a pretty clear background. So there, remove the background. And now that I've got the background removed, I can maybe scale this up a bit here. Let's say it's Jack's birthday. Why not? As one last thing, draw. Drawing in Pages isn't very easy. It's really not meant for that, but you can do some things. For instance, you can go to Shape here and you've got this pen tool. You can't just drag and draw like as an Apple Pencil on an iPad or something like that, but you can click and click again to draw a line. I'm going to undo that and instead I'm going to click once and then click again, but hold and then drag to draw a curve. And then I'm going to release like this, go out here and click to do another curve. And you can do some things like this. So I can draw like that. I'm just going to hit escape so I don't draw another point there. And I've got like a line like that. So you can do some basic stuff, and then you can go to format style, and you could do different things with the line here. Change the size, change the color, just to get a basic drawing like that. Now, the next thing we need to do is export it as an image. Now you can go to File and then go to Export to, and Images is one of the options. So you can choose here the type of image, and then I'm going to Save, and I'm going to choose the desktop to save this to, and I'll call this Birthday and Export. And it's going to create this folder, and in the folder is going to be an image for each page. There's only one page, so there's only one thing there. So you may want to just drag that out and then get rid of the folder. And now you've got this image here that you've created in Pages. The cool thing is you can go back into Pages and edit this. So I would save this out, and then you could use it again or maybe change it later on if you want. Another way to export is to go to File and then Print. And then instead of printing, click on the PDF menu and choose Open in Preview. And that opens it up. And now you can save it, and it's a PDF if you like. You can also export from Pages as a PDF. But you can also go to File, Export, and export this as an image. So let's choose JPEG. I can even choose the quality level here. And let's just call this Birthday 2. And I will save it to the desktop. And the nice thing about this is it's nice and clean. You just get this one file, no folder and all of that. Now next, let's look at doing that in Keynote. It's very similar in Keynote, but here you would just create a basic presentation. You could use one of these templates. I'm going to use Basic White. And the first downside, it's a minor one, is you get these default fields. I'm just going to select them all and delete them. And now I get a slide. And a slide is a lot more like an image than a page in Pages is. And as a matter of fact, if you go to Document and go to Slide Size, choose Custom Size, you can actually choose pixels. So I can choose exactly 800 by 600 pixels. And now you can see that's what I get here. Now, to set a background, I could go to Format, just like in Pages. As long as nothing else is selected, I'm actually setting the background for the slide. And I could set that up here and make it just like in Pages. I can create text just like in Pages, like this. I can go to Format, Text, select a different font here. So let's choose this one and make it much bigger. Put that in the center. The same shapes are available here. So we can search for cake, find this one, stick it up here, change its style to a color like that. We can drag and drop images in. Let's drag the balloons image in. Let's drag the presents image in. We can shrink these and rotate them the same way we did in Pages, holding the Command key. Go to Format Image and remove the background for each one of these. We can bring in photos the same way. So let's bring the same photo in here. I'll drag and drop it in. It's going to fill the slide, which is handy for creating presentations, but you can just shrink it back down, double click to crop it, or I can remove the background on this one as well and then resize like that. For drawing, it works the same as it does in Pages. So really no special drawing tools here. You have to use the pen, and then you just have to draw either lines. And then when you're happy with your image, you can now export it. Now, exporting options are similar. If you do images, it's going to create a folder full of images. If you do print, you can open it in Preview and export it that way. The nice thing here, though, is that you are getting something that's a specific pixel size rather than having to convert inches to pixels like you would in Pages. I also like the fact that in Keynote you have slides, so you can keep adding slide. You can add a blank slide and have another image here. So if this is a large project with several graphics you want to create, you can create them all as individual slides and have them in the same document. You can do the same thing in Pages, but it seems to make a lot more sense here. It's easy to rearrange and drag them and control click on one, even duplicate it so you can have two variations of the same thing here in Keynote. Let's look at using another app, Freeform. So Freeform is made for creating graphics. Let's go and create a board here. Now there's no specific size. It's an infinite canvas in every direction. So you got to kind of guess at the size, but you could start by creating a background of a simple rectangle like this and get it to be the size you want. And you can see here when I drag, I get the size. So I can create something that's the width, say 800 pixels by 600 pixels. And let me zoom out a bit. So now I can take this, if I click on it and click on the fill there, I can change the color of the fill like that. So I can create this background and then do everything else on top of it. Then from there on, it's kind of like working in Pages in Keynote, but the interface is a bit different. So let's type happy birthday in a text box like this, and you have this interface here to mess with the text. You have to select it. I'm going to use Command A to select it all. And I can, bold it here. If I want to change the font, I click here and show fonts, and I can choose something else like that. And I can change the size. And then here's where I can go and change the color like that. So a little different there. Do have the same shapes. So we can search for cake, and there's the cake. And we can click on it. Let's change the color of the cake. And you could do the same thing here with images, but it's a little different. You want to make sure you don't drag into the shape here, else it's going to fill the shape with that image. But you drag it outside there, and you get this frame around it. But if you control click, two finger click, or right click, you can turn off the shadow and round corners, although round corners doesn't matter here because there's nothing in the corners. And then I can hold the Command key down and rotate it like that, put it into position. If I want to get rid of the background, it's under Format, Image, and I can remove background like that. Let's bring the presence in here. Let's go and drag and drop from photos. You can do that here as well. So I'll drag Jack in here, being careful not to drag onto the shape. And then once Jack's in here, I can click once. I can click this cropping tool here and crop. Or I can use the same image, remove background here like that. And there's Jack. Now drawing tools work great in Freeform on the iPad or iPhone, but not on the Mac. There's nothing for it. So you just have to use the same tool here to draw like a little squiggle if you want, like that. And you can put this where you want and click on it and change its color and thickness and all that stuff. So you can do a little bit of drawing here. And now to export this, there is no export as image. You have to export as a PDF. That's all you can do. But you can use that trick where you print board, and then you see print right there, and you choose open in preview. And now that it's in preview, you can export it in any format you want, but you're going to get a lot of extra space around it. One of the things you can do here is you can select an area, use the markup tools here, use the selection tool, and select just this area here. And then you do Command K or Tools and Crop to crop it first. Now export that as an image, and you could save this Freeform board, keep it around to change or reuse later. Now one more way to do it I want to show you is to use Preview. So Preview is a tool that can work with images. Let's launch it by itself and let's create a new one. Well, that's the first problem. You can't. You can create new from clipboard, but you can't just create a new blank preview document. So what you can do is, instead of a new document from there, take a screenshot and do it from a selection. If you see something like plain white space that's on your desktop or maybe on a document or something, you could do that and get plain white. If not, you just grab something you want to use as the background like that. And now you can see how I've got that as the background there. What you need to do next is size it. So go to Tools and then adjust size. And then here you can set the size. Turn off the lock. And now you can set it to whatever you want, 800 by 600. Now, if you don't like that background because you just chose it at random from the screen, do a Command A to select all and a delete, and it's gone. Now go to the markup tools. And the first thing you want to do is create a nice background. So create a rectangle shape and then move it to the edges. You can see the edges right there. So there's like beyond the edge, and then drag it out here and you can see there's beyond the edge right there. And then basically have this rectangle that's larger than the whole thing. And that could be your background. Click here and you could set a color for it like that. Now we could start drawing, and we're actually drawing on a PNG image now. So it's not a document like Pages or Keynote or even Freeform. It's actually an image we're working with. You can draw text with the text box here. Let's select all and then change the style here. Let's go here and we can choose anything we want. Let's choose, for instance, this one, and then we can make it bigger and we can change the size. There are no shapes, so you won't be able to use the birthday cake there. But if you just have the images like this, you can use them. Can you drag and drop them in? No, you can't. But you can bring them in by opening them in Preview. Usually if you double click on an image, it's going to open in Preview anyway. So as soon as it does, you do Command A for select all, Command C for copy, switch to this one, and Command V for paste. Now you've got a really big version of that. You can shrink it by grabbing the corners. It's really hard sometimes if it's really big, but you can. Can you rotate it? Yes and no. Yes, if you have a trackpad, 2 fingers rotates it. If you don't have a trackpad, there's no way to rotate in Preview. Now, can you get rid of the background from this? No, you can't. You had to do that in advance. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go back to this here. And instead of selecting all like I did before, I'm instead going to Control click, right click, or 2-finger click and use Copy Subject. Now, when I paste in, you can see the background's removed. I still have to shrink it down. And it's a little difficult to work with. And then I can rotate it. And then I can do the same thing with presents. Can I bring an image in from Photos? Well, you can't drag and drop again, but you can select in Photos and copy and then go into Preview and paste. But could I have copied the subject? Yes, I could. I could go back to Photos instead, go in here and then Control click on it, copy subject, and now paste just Jack in there. Now finally, something that Preview does better than the others do, which is drawing. You have multiple drawing tools. You've got 2. You've got one called Sketch and one called Draw. Now it doesn't work very well if you've got something behind it. I'm going to move this out of the way. Now before you draw, you want to select a line color here. So we'll choose something like that. And then I'm going to just draw. Now the Sketch tool, if you draw something that's close to a shape like a circle, it will make it a perfect circle. But you could click here to have it go back to exactly what you drew. So if you try to draw perfect circles, squares, arrows, things like that, then use Sketch. If you want to draw whatever you want, use this tool here, which is the Draw tool. You want to make sure that you choose a good line size here before using it, and then you could draw whatever you want, and it will stay like that. So you have an actual real drawing tool. And I could bring in this background again, and there I go. Now I could just go to File, Export, and I could export directly to an image. I could also just save this. If I just do Command S for save, it's going to save it as an image. But a disadvantage is once I save it, all of these individual elements are gone. It's all just printed onto the image. So there's really no way to modify it later on. So it can be a useful tool if you know Preview really well and use it for lots of things and you need to draw freehand, then using Preview is a decent option. Otherwise, Keynote is probably the best option, although Freeform is an interesting alternative if you like that. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.